Hey everyone, welcome to What CP Looks Like. I can't believe we are already 2 weeks into Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. The month is going by quickly, but I'm happy to be here with you on another Thursday night. So, you know what that means. That means I come to you live and I have another special guest to introduce to you again tonight. I want to welcome you for those of you who are joining me, and like I always say, could you please do me a favor and press the share button and please share this video so more people can join us and join in on the conversation. And I want to welcome my friend Rochelle Heath. She's watching. She was my guest a couple of weeks ago, and she introduced me to the person who I will be introducing you to in just a few minutes. I also want to congratulate Rochelle because she did something that is just so incredible. She has been contacting several organizations or places. She even contacted the White House. Yes, you heard me correctly, because she is trying to get different places to light up in green for Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. And she, with the help of our dear friend Heaven Ramsey, they were able to get, and Rochelle, she can put the name of it in the comments because I really don't remember it, but it's a roller coaster in the Atlanta area. It's like this huge place. They are going to light up the roller coaster in green on Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day on March 25th. So if you live in the Atlanta area, you must go. And Rochelle will put all the information in the comments. I just want to say thank you. I know how hard my friends work. And I also want you, please, if you can put some hearts across the screen for Rochelle. She needs our prayers. She's going through some health issues, and we just want her to get better because we love her, and we want to thank her for everything that she does for our community every day. And she just said, it's the Skyview Atlanta Ferris wheel that's going to be lighting up in green. How cool is that, guys? I mean, that is just so cool. I want to welcome Kayla and Jessica, who says that she wonders if she could ask the Space Needle. That's where she lives. Jessica, I went to Seattle University for 2 years. This is going way back in, the early 90s, but that's where I went for my first 2 years of college. But that's a great idea. I really think that you should look into that. I love that idea. And I'll tell you another thing. I lived in Seattle for 2 years and I never went up the Space Needle. So that's one thing I just never managed to do, but the city was lovely. The people were some of the friendliest I've ever met, and it was a great experience. So, guys, seeing as Jessica has asked that question, I wanted to ask everybody, how is it going with CP awareness? And Kayla just asked what I'm going to ask you next, which is, has anyone heard about it on the news? Has your local news station announced that it's CP Awareness Month, or that March 25th is CP Awareness Day? Have you seen anything in, the newspapers, or maybe you've listened to podcasts, or even your favorite radio station? So type in the comments, because I want to know what's been going on, because I kind of wonder if it's different in different parts of the country. Sadly, I know you guys are going to tell me it's not, because every year I come on Facebook on my page and I say, okay guys, so that was our day, and did you guys hear about anything? And most people say, no, we didn't. So with that being said, whatever you guys are doing, and it doesn't, no act of reaching out is ever too small. So let us know if you're reaching out to your local TV stations or whoever you're reaching out to. Let us know. Let us know how it's going. If you've gotten any replies, because, that would be great. If you've gotten anyone maybe to do a feature story on you. I know that Heaven Ramsey, she was successful in that, but unfortunately, the reporter canceled, so I think she's trying to work on getting the interview to happen another day, and I hope they can, because it's tough when you have something set and it's canceled. And Heaven definitely deserves to be in the news and share her story. She does a lot of great work for CP awareness, and we all love her. So Kayla said she's already seeing and hearing about autism awareness. What month is Autism Month? Can somebody remind me? I know the color is blue, but I'm forgetting what month it is for autism. But wow, okay. Yeah, like I was saying last week with Ryan, autism is one of those disabilities that we hear about it all year round. Thank you, Kayla says it's in April. Autism Awareness Month is next month. So, we're always going to hear about autism. And, Barbara says she thinks Autism Day is 2 days before CP Day. Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be, but thank you for the information. But, I know I hear about autism all year round, which is fantastic. It's great. I just hope that someday we can get to the same place with cerebral palsy. That would be great. Hey, Andy, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. We're just talking about how the month is going for everybody. If you've heard anything about Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month or CP Awareness Day in the news, on your local, news stations, or maybe, I'm just trying to think, in a podcast or your favorite radio station. And if you haven't, have you considered contacting any of these places to see if they will make an announcement? Just trying to see what people are doing and if they've had any success. And whatever you guys are doing, I think it's great. Just keep it up if you are doing something. If that's what you want to do, it's all about what you want to do, and we're just all here to support everyone. I haven't contacted anybody. I thought about it, so I still might try with my local news station, but unfortunately where I live, we had another tragedy earlier this afternoon. A bridge at one of the universities in Miami, which I was supposed to go to years ago, but I switched to a different school because it was much closer. Unfortunately, the bridge collapsed, and they don't even know how many people are under, because it collapsed on top of cars and everything. So with that happening, and then a month ago with the shooting at Parkland, and we talked about that in a previous Facebook Live, and I wrote a blog post about it. South Florida's just been really hit with tragedies lately, and my heart goes out to everyone. So that's where we are. We're 2 weeks into Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. I mean, I can't believe it's already March 15th. And I want to thank you guys for supporting this page. And also, I see that you're sharing my Cerebral Palsy Fact of the Day that I share every day, and I'll be doing that up until the end of the month. And just so you know, my guest next week is my friend Kathy O'Connell from Radiant Abilities, who, those of you who have been with me and you were here in October, you may remember I interviewed her about how to succeed and have confidence in dating with a disability. But guys, next week we're talking about something very serious. The rate of sexual abuse among people with disabilities is 7 times higher than people who don't have disabilities. So with the Me Too movement and that being heavily featured in the news, and with movements going on to change that, Kathy wants to shine a light on how that affects people with disabilities, because that's something that no one seems to be addressing. And she's the perfect person to do that. She is a mental health counselor. She also has cerebral palsy. And please go to her website, radiantabilities.com. She's written a blog post about this, which I will share, because National Public Radio did a series about people with disabilities getting sexually abused, and I highly encourage you to check that out. I know that I'm going to do that before next week's interview. It's going to be a serious topic, but you guys know that I like to talk about things that no one's talking about, because that's what we're here to do, to raise awareness, and it should be a very eye-opening conversation, to say the least. So back on the CP awareness front, Rochelle says she has sent hundreds of emails and she's hoping that she will get more replies and that it's exhausting. Yeah, it is exhausting, and I applaud you for everything that you're doing. It's just incredible, because I know, Rochelle, for those of you who watched our interview or you read my blog post, you know that Rochelle is a caregiver. She's taking care of 2 of her parents. She also has some health issues herself right now. So she's going through a lot, and here she is trying to raise awareness for cerebral palsy specifically in this month, and we really appreciate everything that she's doing. So I think it's time now that I tell you a little bit about tonight's guest. Matt Rich has done more in his life than most people. He has participated in 6 1-mile races and 7 5K races. He holds a green belt in karate. He has been a personal trainer. He has released a music album, and he also gives motivational speeches. Every day, he does 500 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 50 squats, shadow boxing, and yoga. Oh, and by the way, did I tell you he also has cerebral palsy? So I am going to invite Matt on now, and we are going to have a spirited conversation about fighting your CP lion, the meaning of cerebral palsy, inspiration porn. There might be some singing. Who knows? Let's do it, guys. Okay, let's see. Matt, I know you're listening. It's saying that I can't bring you on. So I'm wondering why that could be. Let me try again. I don't know. Trying to think. Rochelle, since you've been on here, is there some kind of setting that maybe Matt has to change on his phone? Because I know he wanted to use his computer, and I explained to him that it won't work on a computer. So he made sure he charged his phone, and that's all ready to go. But now I can't invite him. So it looks like and I don't see him on there now again. Matt, let me know what's going on. Yeah, Rochelle, he knows. He's on a phone. You don't have to be Facebook friends with the person, Kayla, but yeah, we are Facebook friends. I think you do, but anyway, yeah, we worked everything out, but for some reason. So anyway, Matt is an inspirational guy, and I met Matt through Rochelle, and that's why, being a part of the CP community is so great, is that we all meet each other, and so many of us become friends, and we get to know each other, and we get to know our personal stories, and it's really great. And what I like about coming to live is that I can spend more time with somebody, and we could really get into how CP has affected their life, what they're doing now, or whatever the topic tends to be. But it usually involves cerebral palsy in one form or another, because that's what this page is about, raising awareness and showing. Yeah, I think Matt's ready now, but showing the world what cerebral palsy looks like. Okay, I think I can invite him now, so I'm gonna try this again. Yes, Matt, I'm gonna invite you now. Matt's face is gonna pop up on the screen right about now. So we'll just wait a couple seconds, and here he comes. And there he is.
There I am.
And he's wearing green.
There I am, folks. I had a couple technical issues. I was trying to figure out. then I remember I had to go to the page. You said I had to go to the page.
Oh yeah, right,
Yeah.
right,
I
yeah.
was waiting for the invite, and I was like, it's not coming through. I have to go to the page. Sorry about that.
No problem. We were just talking about the fact that it's already March 15th, and I was wondering what people have been seeing out there. Have they seen it advertised on TV, their local news? Anything about CP Awareness Month or CP Awareness Day? What about where you live?
I haven't seen anything at all. And it used to bother me a lot, and it still does, but not as much as it used to, because I just don't want it to weigh down my thoughts. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
and that's one of the
I'm not saying it's not important.
Right.
It is, but it can weigh you down so much sometimes that it's all you think about and focus on.
And that's one of the things we're going to talk about in a little while is
Right.
mindset, because that's a big part of your life and something that has really transformed your journey with CP, and it's really affected your life in a positive way. And I know that when people hear your story, maybe they will try to take away some of the tips and things that you do so that they can get through life a little bit better as well. But before we do that, who is Matt Rich? What do you do, and what is this 5K races and motivational speaking and karate and yoga? Is there anything you don't do?
I don't know. I just have a really, things have really changed for me over the last 80 days or so. I've been praying more, been doing more yoga. I'm really concentrating on trying to connect with God and trying to eat better. And I got weighed today at the doctor. I had a checkup, and I weighed 230 in January, and I weighed 218 today. So,
Matt, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's not easy to do. Congratulations.
No, especially if you're sitting down a lot, which I am because of the chair. And it's not because I don't want to say that I don't need the chair. I do. I need it around my apartment. I need it for work. So I'm in it about 90% of the time. But I've really focused on trying to eat more fruits and veggies, more protein, but more like instead of chicken or beef, I try to stick to beans, eggs, and fish. For all the good fats.
What I was talking with Ryan about last week about the sources of protein. And yeah, I completely forgot during our conversation, but definitely beans, because most people think about meat, and we were talking about Rochelle because she doesn't particularly like meat. So I was saying, there's a lot of other sources of protein that people don't think about. But yeah, we're so proud of you. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's back up just a little bit, and
sure.
I want to start with how your early life was growing up with CP. How did it affect you, and what were your thoughts about having this disability?
I was always extremely focused on the fact that everybody else around me was walking, and I wasn't. My parents, my brothers, my friends, whoever, and that gave me a goal to someday walk on my own 2 feet. But I was so driven by that, and I wanted to do it so badly and to become an athlete that it kind of took over my life. I always seemed to be focused on, it's the CP. It's the CP that's making me tired. It's the CP that's making me tight. It's the this. It's the that. Now that can all be part of the condition. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of that has to do with mindset. If you're constantly thinking that cerebral palsy is causing your problems, you're going to think about that. You're going to talk about it. You're going to just focus on it, and you got to put your focus somewhere else. And that's where the prayer comes in, because I focus more on praying to God and talking to God. That's where the yoga comes in, because I focus more on that. And the eating right, I focus more on that. And in the last 21 days, I've had no tightness in my body, no tightness in my mind. And I feel like I'm free. Like my arms and hands can move just about as fast as I want to make them move, because my brain is firing at such a better level. But I think that's due to the intermittent fasting that I've been doing.
Wow. And it's like that saying, like, what you think about, you bring about.
Yes, yes. So
And I think that's
you
great.
gotta be positive. If you're positive, you're going to bring positive. If you're negative, you're going to bring negative.
Right. And talking about positive, I want you to share the story about you were so determined to walk at one point, and because of this you have been given the nickname of Superman. So tell everybody how that came about.
Sure. I had set a date to walk to my parents on May 8th of 2010, and I had no idea what I was going to wear, uh, what I was going to wear for the day. And there was
Can
an
I
old,
interrupt you for just 1 second? When you say walk to your parents, were you walking prior to this?
yes, I was, because I had to train. I had to do repetitions in order to make this happen. I did it at the gym. I did it at home, but I didn't tell my family about it at all.
But you were using
I,
aids.
I was, I started out just holding on to the wall and then trying to maneuver my hands in a way where I could hold my balance, and I would actually try to step. And
But before this, were you in a chair most of the time before you decided that you wanted to do this?
before this, I was using crutches till the age of 14.
Okay.
I still use crutches today, and I still use the chair today. I haven't walked consistently like that to my family or anything, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, and that's because I decided to eat differently, become more of like a bodybuilder. I put on a lot of weight, and I gained a lot of water weight, and now that I've lost the weight, maybe someday I'll get back to doing that.
I have no doubt. If there's anybody who could do it, you can, definitely. So,
Thank you.
how long did it take you? I'm going to say that you trained. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Because isn't
Uh,
that what you basically did?
yeah, it was about 6. It was about 6 months, and what happened was everything kind of snowballed together. I was taking karate classes, dance lessons. I was taking tap dance lessons to improve the strength in my feet.
Really? Wow.
Yes, and then um, to improve the strength in my feet, I took tap dance lessons. I was taking karate, and I just started a job as a personal trainer at the time. So I was working 6 days a week, and when I wasn't working with clients, I would train myself. I would train on the treadmill. I would stand in front of a heavy bag and hit that. Then after all that, I would go outside and practice in this little area I picked out. I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube video where I'm walking to my mom
Yeah, I've
and
seen
my
it.
brothers are picking me up. That's the area that I chose. I used to practice in that as the final step because I wanted to make my muscles tired so I could develop a new tired for my
How did
muscles.
you keep this from? Who you kept it from just your mother, or your mother and your father, or who did you?
My mother, my father, and my brothers. If anybody who saw me doing it outside, who knew my family, I told them that I'm going to pop their tires or, yeah, something like that. So I was like,
Your mother is watching, so she can verify whatever you're saying.
yes. And my brother Andrew said earlier that my mom now makes me mushrooms and Brussels sprouts together, and he said that he was eating my mushrooms, so he's going to have to buy me some more mushrooms to eat because I
Oh.
love mushrooms. So
So okay, so 6 months go by, and take me to the day where you're gonna do this. Like, what happens? Is there a certain time that you came up, you set for this, or?
I picked May 8th because I have a very good relationship with my grandfather, Pop Rich, my Pop Up Rich, my dad's dad, and he's passed on. Okay, and he always wanted to see he was always very happy that I was physically active, and I picked that day because it's the day that he passed, and I wanted his presence to be the strongest that day. I invited 75 people out, and 50 showed up, and they
Wow.
didn't know what I was going to do. I had a girlfriend at the time, and they thought I was going to propose to her, but that didn't happen. So yeah, she was kind of mad about that. but but I went through a dance routine that I was working on because I had a dance recital a week later. So I did that too. So I did a dance routine. I did my karate routine that I've been working on, and then I walked to my mom. And she was already in tears before I got to her because my boss had told her, he said, Mrs. Rich, he's going to walk to you, and don't worry, he's going to be all right. I know there's concrete out here, and he may hit his head, but he's been practicing this day in, day out religiously. Like, sometimes we have to drag him back in 2 hours later because he's still outside and he's got to come in and do some work. We make him clean the floors or something like that. So, just kidding. But, usually I trained when I had no clients. So if I had no clients, I was doing the training to prepare.
And Matt, why do you think it was so important for you to do this?
It was there was a force that was driving me to get it done, and it was really a very internal one for myself. But the more I thought about it over the years, because it's been almost 8 years now, it'll be 8 years in May. And the more I thought about it, it was, I did it for myself, but I did it for my family too. Because they wanted it. They may not have said it, but to have it happen, they wanted it just as bad as I did. And
right.
I was with a karate instructor at the time. He said, you don't have to do this. People love you just the way you are, and God loves you just the way you are. You don't have to do this. And I turned to him and I said, yes, I do. It's not about me. It's about my family too. And we're gonna have fun, And I asked him one time, I said, should I tell them? And he's like, no way. He's like, no way. And I'm not going to curse. I won't curse, but he used a curse word. Okay. And he said, you just stand there and let them poop themselves, is what he said, the other word. So I'm not going to say that, but it was very interesting to hear him say that because he never actually cursed in front of me ever. So he was also there. And you could see the nervousness on his face because we never trained for any type of element situation. And the wind that day was about 30 to 40 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
So he was nervous. I wasn't nervous. I was just I knew I was ready. I knew I was prepared. And it was a lot of fun. In fact, after that, I figured out what am I going to do next? And that was where the 5Ks came in. Because I said to my mom, I was accepting an award, and I like to make a big statement sometimes. So while accepting this award, I said that I was going to run this 5K race in December, very cold.
Oh,
and she was like, what? You're going to do what? During the speech, And
that's where she's like, what are you talking about?
She was surprised. She was very surprised. But
right.
I've always liked to do that to her. I'll call her on the phone and go, Mom, I got something to tell you. I'm not going to tell you till 7:35 p.m. on Tuesday night, and I make her wait.
Oh, no.
So.
That's such a beautiful story. I mean, not only does it show your determination, but also the love you have for your family, and they just must have been so thrilled for you, obviously. And yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, can I take a moment and answer a question? There's a question that's a really good one. It's from Kayla Ireland. She said, what made you train versus regular therapy as a kid? Did you have any therapy? I don't know if you saw that, but I can see it on my end.
No, I'm looking at it now, but
the training, I had therapy from the ages of 3 to 18, and then after that, there was no more insurance or therapy available for me. So I decided to take karate and train on my own, actually. So I did have therapy, and I've used that in the future as a personal trainer to take care of that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. I know.
No, not at all.
I saw the question.
No, I don't mind. No. I mean, that goes more to your backstory anyway, which is what you were leading into. And I want to know more about, because I know you and I have talked about this, like, where do you think that drive comes from to want to accomplish anything, not just to walk into your parents, but anything that you choose to do?
Well, this is actually perfect because in conversation recently, I have Some of my family members have had health issues lately, and they've been in and out of the hospital. And my parents have been very vigilant with those individuals and gone to the hospital and watched, taking care of them. And other people have too. So I'm not giving my parents all the credit, but they've done a lot. And I finally figured out through watching all this happen that, my brother and myself were born premature, 10 months apart. I weighed 3 pounds, 2 ounces. He weighed 1.5 pounds when he was born. So not only had they had to deal with that, in 120 days in the hospital combined, but they also found out 2 years later, or 18 months later, that I had cerebral palsy. So they've had a lot to deal with, and I can honestly say this with absolute certainty. My strength comes from my mother. She's the strongest person I know. My work ethic comes from my father. Like, my dad used to be a boxer, and so he knows what it's like to train for 2 months for 8 hours a day to get ready for something.
Right.
And my mom is just, from helping me turn over in the middle of the night after a surgery in bed and hearing me scream and not shedding a tear, just doing it because it had to be done. While my dad went to work, made the money, and put food on the table for everybody. So we were a family of 5, so somebody had to make sure we did.
Right.
My mom worked too, but my mom spent a lot of time with me in the hospital to overnights and things like that to make sure I was okay as a kid.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Yeah, I'm the youngest of 11, so I know what a big family is like too. And 5 is big. People say to me, if they say, "Oh, I'm one of 5," and I'll say that's big, and they'll say, "Well, not like yours." I'm like, "No, but 5 is still big in this country. It's a big family."
Yeah.
But don't you think, Matt, that there's something internal with, because you just have like a certain fire, and not everybody has that. And I know I've noticed in the CP community, it's kind of sometimes split, don't you think? Where there's some people who they just, maybe it's that mindset thing. They don't think they can do much, so they just kind of give up, and they don't do a whole lot. And then there's the other side, like you, who really go for it.
Right, and that's not a knock on anybody, because everybody's different. So you may have, there's you and there's me, and let's just say for argument's sake that you're the one that doesn't want to, you'd rather lay back, eat potato chips, enjoy your life, and not do anything to stay in shape. And then you have the other person, me, who doesn't want to do that and wants to be more active and do everything that they can to, make their daily life better.
And we all know people like that, whether they have cerebral palsy or not.
Exactly, and that's the point that both of us are trying to make. So you don't get any nasty messages after, like, how dare you? How dare? We're not talking about the unfortunate. I don't even want to say unfortunate. We're not talking about the person who is sitting in a chair and they're drooling from
and they can't do
circumstances, and they can't do anything. We're not asking that person to do something. We understand that every individual is different, but there are some. I had a radio interview one time with some friends of mine who have spina bifida. Okay, they had a radio show at the time. They were both basketball teammates. So they called themselves the Cruising Cripples because they both use wheelchairs and one used crutches. Really cool name. Really talked about a lot of awareness stuff, as do you and Rochelle and a whole bunch of other people. And we were talking about the walking situation, like, why did you do it? Things like that. They both said that they wouldn't have done it because it was too much work. Not that they're lazy individuals, but they were right. It was a lot of work. I spent hours upon hours upon hours doing just that. So, it was, if I could go back and do it again, would I? Absolutely, I would, because there's things that have come from that if it didn't happen, never would have happened. So it was something that needed to be done, and I really think that God used me to show the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, where David wins the fight. he took this little guy, who was me, this really little peanut of a baby, and turned him into this guy who could walk to his mom and decided to run races and just try to enjoy life. And that's what it should really be about, enjoying life, you know?
Did that experience change the way you looked at yourself and what you were capable of?
You mean the walking?
Yes.
It did, and it was almost not for good, because I could feel myself sometimes taking for granted that I could walk, that I could just get up out of bed and just move about. I'm not normally like a normal person, if you will, but like an able-bodied person, let's just say, not normal, because there is no normal. Everybody's, unique in their own way. Excuse me. Not that I took it for granted like an able-bodied person would, but I would have to stop and think, like, just remember, there's people who can't do what you're doing, and be humble. Try to be humble about that. And there are times that I wasn't, and I really believe that I've been diagnosed with sleep apnea, and I really believe that when that happened last year, that was to put me in my place and to show me that I was no longer the humble guy that I thought I was. And now I've really tried to focus on and asking for, God, please humble me today. Don't allow me to, those teachable moments we talk about when the little girl or the little boy says, Mommy, why is he in the chair? I would pass by so many of them and not ignore people, but I would miss it because I was so focused on something else. And now that I've asked to be humbled and it's happened, I now see that kid asking that question, taking the time, standing in front of the door as they want to hold the door for me. Instead of just pushing my way by, I say thank you and I let them hold the door because I know they're just trying to help. They're just trying to help, and they just want to know what it is about the chair or about the condition or the crutches. What they want to know what's going on. So why not take the time to answer their question?
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, because I know there are people where it gets frustrating if you have to constantly, field maybe the same questions. And, I'm sure you have days where you go somewhere and you probably don't want anyone to ask you questions either, but.
I used to, but now I ask for them so they can come my way so I can handle it. Because I'm one of the people who was given certain gifts, and I should do that, not necessarily to spread awareness, but to please God. But also to spread awareness at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you one little story about that. So I'm leaving my favorite place on the planet, Chicky and Pete's in Glassboro. Okay, I go there all the time to eat food. I'm leaving there, and outside there's Girl Scouts who've been selling cookies for out in front there, and there's a couple parents there, and there's a 5-year-old little girl, and she says, she walks right up and she says, Mister, is it fun to be in a wheelchair?
Okay.
And I said, it can be sometimes. She said, what was it like for you when you were younger? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, if you have a minute, I will tell you. And I said, sometimes it was hard, and sometimes it hurt, sometimes it was difficult, sometimes people were mean. But as I've gotten older, I've adjusted to it better. I understand that my chair has to sometimes be my legs. You know how you walk on your legs? And she goes, yeah. I said, my chair sometimes has to be my legs. And my body has become comfortable in the chair. So, yeah, it can be fun. And I said, I'll tell you what. I said, would you like to race? She's like, yeah. She's jumping up and down. I said, okay. So we pick a spot, and we race down to the spot. And before we did that, I called her dad over, and I asked her dad, I said, would you mind if I picked her up when it was over and I put her on my lap so she could feel what it was like to ride in the chair? He said, if it's okay with her. So we discussed it with her before the race. And I said to her, when it finished, We turned around and I said, if you're not comfortable, even after I pick you up and put you on my lap and you want to get up, let me know. She said, no, I'll be okay. Picked her up, put her on my lap, made sure her legs were all right, that she wasn't in any pain. Because sometimes people will either put their legs in really close or they'll go really wide to kind of accommodate you. And her legs were kind of wide. I just wanted to make sure that she was all right. She said, I'm fine. Rolled back to her dad and, put her down. She walked over to him and she was like the happiest little girl in the world. I mean, just to take the time and then to realize that on that same day, 7 years ago, my best friend passed away who had muscular dystrophy. He passed away from complications of that. And that was something that he would have done. He would have taken the time with that little girl. And it was like, that was literally a tip of the hat to him.
Right.
That was
you
it.
were honoring him. Yeah.
Yeah. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
It really, really was. And you gave her a memory that she'll never forget.
And that's what I hope.
We're in this fast-paced society where we don't take the time, and that's why I do these interviews, because it would be much easier for me if I just told people where to find you, if I just sent them to your YouTube channel, which we will put that in the comments, whatever you'd like to include. I want them to see the video that we talked about with you walking to your mom. It's a powerful video. But, me talking to you like we are right now, we really can get into different aspects, not only of your life, but topics that you can't have a drive-by conversation. Everybody wants to.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
Feel free to use it.
I love it. That's fantastic. Well, feel free to use this, okay?
Okay.
Come up with my friend Vincent, who is the Rodfather, by the way, okay?
Oh, yes.
Him and I came up with, and I'll make a plug for him really quick. These fishing shirts and everything else that he sells, it goes to St. Jude and it goes to Lake Cleanup. Rodfather.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know that you talk about him, and Rochelle's friends with him, and Heaven, and I think he was listening last week with Ryan. So if he's here tonight, I want to say hello.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Did you meet him on Facebook too? Because I know a lot of connected that way.
I met him through some personal friends of mine.
You guys live locally, both
yeah,
of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We both live in Jersey. He lives a couple towns over from me.
Great.
So
okay.
He's a really good dude. We both came up with this baseball analogy, and it's take the first pitch. And what that means is, you wait and you give it time to let it go through, whatever it is during the day. And then I've added to that through prayer with God, take the second pitch, but don't let me strike out, which means you just wait longer. You stop and you look around. In fact, the first pitch actually means that you focus, you pay attention, and you listen. The second pitch means that you stop and look around and you pay attention to your surroundings. Right. So it's really about that, like you said, that drive-by conversation. It's not a drive-by conversation. It's about taking your time, sitting down with someone, or making sure that if they're in a chair, you get down on one knee and you talk to them as
you make eye contact with them
instead of being up here, right?
Right. Or with your face in your phone, or
right. Just eye contact. Right, yeah. So it's take that time to sit down with that person and have a conversation instead of how you doing, Roger? Good to meet you. See you later.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yep. And so I want to move on now and have you tell us more about your video series for people who don't know, but you have a video series called Matt's Quick Riches. What is that about?
Quick Riches is a 3-minute segment where I try to improve people's lives through a tip, through a story, through just a small piece of advice. It could be about, it could be about how to handle people, or how to like you and I we've set a date to do this interview, okay? And what if all of a sudden I was running late, was running late from work or whatever, and something was wrong. And I didn't tell you, and you expected me to show up at 7:15 as scheduled, and I didn't show. And then you're hanging. You're just waiting, and Matt's not here. The audience was suspecting what's going on. So what did I do earlier? I let you know that my phone needed to be charged.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to charge it at work. That didn't work. And you gave me the extra time to charge my phone. And it's not because I was trying to be lazy and not charge my phone. There's actually an issue with it. So anybody who thinks like, dude, why didn't you charge your phone? There's actually an issue with it. We needed to wait a little bit longer. So,
right.
you know, it's about handling situations is just giving. If you have a job where you go to work, if you're going to be late, like 10, 15 minutes late, call ahead and let people know you're going to be late. If you're going
It's
to be
about respect. It's about
right.
respect and treating others how you would want to be treated. And I think that's another character trait that's often missing today. You know, some of the simple things really have gone by the wayside, I think.
Yes. I really believe that respect and being kind to others is truly a lost art. And I'd say art because people don't do it anymore. You say hi to somebody and you say hi to somebody and they don't look in your direction. Most of the time now, I realize that, oh my gosh, they have earbuds in.
Oh.
And they can't hear what I'm saying. But I don't want to yell at somebody and go, hi, sir.
Right. Yeah, right.
Like, there's such a thing as spatial awareness, as using your
right.
voice
Personal
properly.
space. Yeah, right. But you bring up a good point, Matt, because you said it's about respect, but guess what? The internet is probably the first place that respect goes out the window because people are behind their computers and they can type whatever they want. And you know what? That really needs to change as well, not just within the disabled community or people with CP, but across the board. But I know, you know, some of my friends who are watching behind the scenes, I mean, they get some of the most vile messages sent to them.
And Robert just said that people also turn their back to you, which I've had happen. I mean, you say something to somebody and they don't even
respond. They act like they didn't even hear what you said.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I live in Florida. I'm a native Floridian, and I'll be the first to tell you, this is the rudest place that there is, quite possibly. I love Florida. I love the weather, but there's a lot of rude people here. So I don't know if he meant that from having a disability aspect, but I just mean here, you know, like I'm a friendly person. So in the grocery store, I'm smiling at people. I'll say hello to people who walk by. And a lot of Floridians had the attitude of, why is she smiling at me? What does she want from me? And I'm just saying hello. I don't want anything
because
from you.
You've taken the position of being happy, being positive. And you know what? One of the problems, and I'm not trying to bring up the media. I don't want to cause a stir.
Well, we are going to get to that too.
Vincent just messaged me. He said hello to you, and he said this is absolutely marvelous. He loves it.
Oh, well, maybe I should add him as a friend, or you
should. You should friend request him, or he'll friend request you.
Okay, thanks, Vincent. We're happy that you're enjoying this.
But here, you've taken the position to be happy, and if you look at the news leads off with, and it could be a fire, it could be a death. They lead off with negative stuff.
Yeah,
so they literally want you to have that negative mindset. They want you to be angry when you leave for work. So when you're in your car and you set off road rage, they have something else to talk about on the 6 o'clock news. So it's like, why? It's like, turn your TV off. Actually, I've learned that, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about, so I'm actually going to say it now, live here. It doesn't bother me that it's not mentioned in the news about cerebral palsy awareness and day. And here's why. Because it's not that I don't think it would matter. I do. But I think we would actually get more out of it if we talked to the little Girl Scout who was 5 years old. If we took the time to just talk to people, turn off the TV. Nobody cares that it's National Pretzel Day on the same day that it's Cerebral Palsy Day. Nobody cares. You're telling us about National Pretzel Day because you want people to eat more pretzels so their sugar goes up. So somebody goes to the hospital and now somebody has to pay a hospital bill because their sugar's gone up because you told them it was National Pretzel Day and they decided to go crazy on pretzels. I mean, that's the mindset that I had. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, it's like if somebody eats too much sugar, their hospital bills go up, so they have to pay more money to whoever. And I know we're off topic, but that's what I mean. Like, there's talking about National Coffee Day and National Pretzel Day.
There's National Day for everything.
Right. Why not talk about something positive instead? So
right. Yeah. And, you know, when you talked about, because the news leads off with negative stories, and you said that people can be angry, I want you to talk about how you went from, if I can say, maybe you were angry at the fact that you had cerebral palsy. If that's too strong of a word, you'll let me know. But how you went from that to what is your position on it today, and what is the meaning of cerebral palsy to you now?
I think it was angry. I think I was royally PO'd that I had CP, but I also think that I had cerebral palsy, and it drove me being angry at the chair, being angry at the crutches, being angry at my own legs, you know, was what drove me to get to a point of walking on my own 2 feet. And so there was anger involved, but now through the prayer, through yoga, through having better sleep and really resetting my mind, okay, one of the videos I talk about is I am now a change of perspective speaker. I am no longer a motivational speaker. So it goes with, what does that go with though? Change of perspective means CP. So I no longer try to use the medical term of cerebral palsy, because not that it's negative. I don't want people to go away from this thinking that, oh my gosh, he hates CP, he's not going to be an advocate no more. No. What we talked about earlier is how it can weigh down your thoughts. So I'm a change of perspective speaker. When it comes to being persistent, I'm continually persistent. Again, CP. When it comes to having to wait on something, I'm consistently patient. Again, CP. So I haven't gotten rid of the CP. I've just changed the words in my own mind.
Can you give us an example of how you used to think about CP before, and then like the same situation? Give us the same exact situation, how you thought about it before and how you think about it now, and what happened in the middle for you to get there.
If I was too tired, or if my legs were too tight, or if I couldn't get in somebody's car, CP, man, CP's getting to me, man. It's the CP's fault.
Yeah,
CP's the reason I'm running late to work. The CP's the reason I have to call out today, because I'm not really sick. I'm just really tired, and it's CP's fault. So I was constantly saying that cerebral palsy even though I was trying to fighting the CP line that we talked about, right? Yeah. Fighting that line. Even though I talked about that, mentally, I was letting it beat me up for 35 years. It bounced around my head and kept me down for so long mentally, that I needed a change. I needed to say that cerebral palsy was gone, and that I was now going to change perspective. In fact, I told Vincent, I said, if you ever hear me use the medical term of cerebral palsy again, I said, slap me across the head. So I was actually nervous to do the interview,
because he was going to do it.
I had to talk about it still. Yeah.
Now, anybody who knows you, Matt, we know that you're a positive guy.
Right.
So how did you come to the realization that, as positive as you are, you were being negative when you reference cerebral palsy multiple times a day as like the thief of your life?
You're good. You're very good. Your words are very good. Very good.
Thank you. I didn't practice any of that, so just so you know.
That's good. That was very good. I think through prayer, honestly, through talking things out with God, because I don't just close my eyes and go in a room, and I actually talk to him physically. Right now, I am sitting in front of my kitchen table, okay? Over my kitchen table hangs a mirror that my yoga instructor hung. She said, what would you like to call this mirror? I'm going to paint on it for you. Now, the paint's not there. You know, we haven't been able to connect in that for her to paint on it yet. But she said, what do you want to call this corner of the room? And I can feel a sense of peace and a sense of warmth as I'm saying this. I decided to call this God's Corner. And I've prayed more here without realizing I'm here because my head is down. I'm reading something, looking at my phone, and I've had more conversations with in this spot and never realized it. I had more. So it's like really like he showed me that by saying CP this and CP that, you're constantly, it's the medical condition, yes, but you're using it in such a negative way.
And you're not saying that cerebral palsy
No.
isn't challenging or that it's not part of why you're experiencing some of the physical issues or whatever it may be.
Correct. And I'm not saying that you should take it out of your vocabulary, that Rochelle should take it out of hers, that
you're just saying it's worked for you.
It's worked for me. I'm not saying that it's going to work for everybody, but give it a try. And if your life is more peaceful and you're not thinking about, because if you say the words, you're actually thinking about, oh, it's slowing me down. Like internally, in your mind, subconsciously, you're thinking that it's slowing me down. And it's really not. It's just your thoughts are what's slowing you down. So if you can clear out the junk, right?
Well, it's amazing because you figured out that you are standing in your own way, which is something that nobody really would say about you. Anybody who knows you would say, oh, no way. Like Matt tears down walls and barriers and, he goes for it. But the mental game is very different than the physical game.
Yes, absolutely. The mental side of things is, They say in sports that it's 80% mental, 20% physical. Well, I think that I've now taken that it's because even with my muscles loosening up and everything, it's like 98% mental and 2% physical.
And I know a lot of people struggle. I mean, I know I struggle with it too, and it's interesting to see that you were able to make such a positive change.
Well, I can honestly, and I will give her all the credit in the world. One of my ex-girlfriends actually said, Matt, she said, you talk about cerebral palsy way too much. She said, I pray that one day that you realize that the CP does not make you who you are. You are just a man, period. You are a man. And the CP is secondary. And I pray for you that someday it is gone. And I have to give her credit. I have to give, Heather credit because she brought it to my attention. And I thought, you're crazy. I don't talk about it all. And she would say, well, yes, you do. Listen to yourself talk. Listen to yourself as you're putting on your clothes. Listen to yourself as you're putting on your shoes. You say it all the time. And
you didn't realize it because it was a habit, I think.
And I'm so glad that she brought it to my attention. But it took me 3 years to figure it out that was bothering me and that was being so negative. That I was constantly, and again, I don't want anybody to message you and be like, oh my gosh, you guys, what are you talking about? No. It's just a mental aspect. It's not because mentally I think I'm a 6-year-old and I'm now a 6-year-old and I go back to wearing diapers. That's not what it's about. It's a different mindset. It's about mindset. It's a positive mindset.
So what do you do now when negative thoughts of any kind, they don't have to be about cerebral palsy, when negative thoughts creep in, can you give us kind of like a takeaway of something that anybody watching or listening, what they can do if they find themselves just thinking too negatively?
When a negative thought comes in, okay, or I hear somebody use a negative thought or word, I say, you're being negative about that. And they go, no, I'm not. I'm not being negative. I'm not. Yes, you are. Listen, and I'm not judging. I'm not judging them at all. I'm informing them that they are being negative, that they're coming off that way. So even when it happens to me, and I'm like, oh, don't think that way. Look at it this way. Try to think outside the box. There's always a brighter side there's a light behind me, right? It's shiny, you can see that. There's always a brighter side on the other side of the world or behind your back that you've got to. An example would be if I spilled water or spilled something, I used to say, MF this, MF that, and now I laugh about it. Now I have a good time. Now I enjoy myself. I dropped some materials at work the other day, and I mentioned, instead of losing my head in front of customers who know I'm in a chair, okay, they see them, and it's not that, they're not bending over to help me because I'm in the chair. They're doing it because I dropped stuff. They would do it if an able-bodied person had done it. All I said was, snapped my finger and said, I must be redecorating the floor plan. Like once you develop a more positive mindset, it's almost like you don't even have to think about it. The words just come. They're just there. It's almost like you have to develop a quick wit. Like, 2 plus 2 is...
you have to be aware, because you're aware of yourself and what you're thinking, so that you can change it as quickly as you can.
Right. It goes back to that. Stop, look around, and take that second pitch. So that's what I ask for every day in prayer. I say, humble me, have me take the first pitch, which means, and I say that, I actually say it out loud in prayer. Have me take that first pitch, which means listening, paying attention, and focusing. Have me take that second pitch, which means stop and look around and see what's around me, because
it's almost like a form of meditation. It's like a different, you know what I mean? You could use it that way.
It's a form of prayer with God, and also daily affirmations. I believe that's what it is. Yeah. So you're actually telling yourself how your day is going to go, and believe it or not, that's the way that it goes.
Right, that's what you...
Even if something bad happens, where there's somebody in my way, somebody doesn't see me, somebody steps in front of me, somebody cuts me off, and that's the same thing. I just said it twice. But and it's you patiently move to the side, and instead of excuse me or hey, you're in my way, and pushing that person aside, you patiently step aside and you wait. And then if the person who just cut you off, you go hold the door for that person. And I'll tell you why. Because they're going to remember, they will remember that I held the door. But guess what? If they cut me off and I was like, forget you, and I started cursing them out, they're going to remember that more, and they're going to go back. They may even go on Facebook and say, this guy in a green shirt, with he was really mean to me today. Don't buy that Rodfather stuff. That guy's no good, because that's bad advertisement for him. So you are literally a personal advertisement for your family, for your friends.
Right.
When you go out in public, and if you behave a certain way, people are going to remember that. People are going to come back to that.
Yeah, and your energy either attracts people or repels people. And since we're talking about positivity, I want to talk about Facebook and how we can use Facebook as a positive. No, go ahead. As a positive tool. I know many of us on this broadcast, we've been on Facebook a while, and I know for myself, it started out as, wow, this is really new and exciting and fun, and I'm connecting, or so I thought, connecting with old friends, which it really never happened that way. I just amassed all these friends, and then it's like, who are these people that are on my page? And then you have to deal with, if you're an advocate, people come at you sometimes, or you get messages and all this stuff. But I want to know, because I know you've made a shift. You've talked to me a little bit about that, with how you use Facebook, and so I want you to talk a little bit about that.
I try to, instead of I'm going to use this for a minute because it's a good lead in here. Robert says that he prays to God as if he's having a conversation with him and talks to him many times a day. I started doing that very thing, and things have changed. Now, based off of what you just asked me about changing up my Facebook, instead of posting that, oh, I did 10,000 push-ups today, and oh, I did this today, and mentally thinking, oh, I'm inspiring all these people, which I was. People are like, man, you're such an inspiration, but God really showed me that, dude, all you're doing is talking about yourself. You're not asking anybody how their day is. You're not looking at that person and asking her, if she needs help because she's over in the corner crying. You're not taking the time to focus on people first and put them first. So now I try to allow him to lead the conversation, but also whatever he wants me to post, it's got to be positive one, and it's got to be something that in conversation with him that he wants me to talk about, because there are certain things I'm going to post this video, and then I'll go, you don't really want me to post that, do you? No, not, and he won't say no. It's just this peaceful feeling of, that's my answer. No, I do not want you to talk about this now. You're going to wait. So there's I stop telling people how many times a day I change my socks. I'm not picking on anybody who does that. I'm not picking on anybody who posts 500 times a day or wants to tell everybody about their day or everything that they're doing. If that's what they want to do, fine.
Right.
But this all comes from a mindset and a change that I don't need to tell people I'm running a race tomorrow. This is where I'm going to be. This is there's a race coming up in 10 days. Let's get ready for that. Let's go see Matt Rich break the record. Talking all about myself. See how there's a difference in that? Let's go see him break a record. Let's go see him run his 15th race. Let's go see him do this. All focused on me. Nothing focused on anybody else. So what he showed me in prayer was, I want you to start posting. I posted pictures about my weight loss.
Okay? I've seen some of them.
But it's not to center it on me. He wants me to wait until about day 92 or whatever it is, and then post my final picture, and that'll be it. And then I'm allowed to talk about my diet and what I'm doing and what has done for me and how it's changed me. But when I do that, it's not to say this is the best thing ever and this is what you use to have a healthier life. It's just explaining to people, this may work for you. Maybe you should try it, And so it's more, the posts are more about helping other people than just, even though internally I never thought I was showing off, I was going 10,000 push-ups, 10,000 push-ups. Woo! It's all about me, baby. And now it's become about other people and trying to help them first.
And how did that change your relationship with Facebook and your relationship with other people?
Well, people don't see me on Facebook as much, so they ask where the videos are.
Okay.
Which at one point, and I've talked to Rochelle about this, and I've talked to a few other people, the reason that stopped for such a long time was because I almost felt obligated to do it because I knew people were watching. I knew that it was drawing in an audience, and I felt almost as if it was a job. So I didn't enjoy it anymore.
Right, you didn't.
So now when I do them, I enjoy the videos. I really do.
Yeah, that's important, because like me, I decided to do these Facebook Lives weekly, and I enjoy them, but there are some times where, listen, if I want to take a week off and want to take a month off, that's what I'm going to do. And people might say, well, where are you? Well, hey, if they want to go live on their own page or do something and they go, be my guest, do it, but the world's going to keep spinning whether or not I do a Facebook Live.
Right. Rest is just as important for you as it is for the next person. Sometimes in areas of rest, we discover more about ourselves than we would if we just kept moving and moving and moving.
But I can relate to what you were saying because I know that Rochelle and I talked about this too, where, Facebook kind of became where we didn't enjoy it anymore.
Right. And Rochelle just said that's how she feels about the shirts.
Yeah. And then when I talked to you and you were saying something similar, where you said that, you were changing on how you approached Facebook and what you used it for. And, instead of us coming on and surfing mindlessly, which, hey, I'm not knocking anybody who does. I do it all the time.
Right.
But, we can choose to be more aware and more conscious about how we use Facebook. And we can use it to advocate if we want to.
Yeah.
And we're all, we can all do whatever we want.
Right.
And this idea that the CP community, we all have to support each other. Quite honestly, no, we don't.
You're right. We don't.
It would be nice if we did, but your idea of support may not be mine.
You're absolutely right.
So I could still be happy for what you're doing, but let's say you asked me to be a partner with you on something, and I didn't want to. It doesn't mean I don't support what you're doing. It might just mean that the decision to partner with you isn't in my best interest.
Right. Right.
And I don't think people sometimes they can't separate,
maybe not even in your best interest. Maybe not.
Or yours.
Maybe not in the best interest of the cause as a whole.
That's right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's not, and I didn't mean to say that to take away from what your point was, but it's like it could be in your best interest, my best interest, or as a whole. Like,
that's right.
Right. And like Robert said, don't take it personally.
Right.
It's not. Yeah. Don't be personally offended by what's going on.
That one's for Rochelle. She knows what I'm talking about, man. She's going through something, and I'm like, no, we're not gonna let that happen. Like, she did this great thing, and I'm making sure that she's all right. But you are actually leading into one of the important topics that I want to make sure we get to.
Yeah,
is and like I told people, hey, we might get a little controversial, and I have no problem with that. I know you don't have a problem with that. But another hot topic that we see all the time on Facebook, especially when it comes to people with disabilities, is the term inspiration porn.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people, that puts their knickers in a twist, and it gets them all, upset. And you and I kind of have come to sort of a different conclusion. We're spinning the axis, and we're saying, hey, inspiration porn might not be such a bad thing, because guess what, guys? We could use it to further the cause.
Right. Now, for anybody that may be upset by the word porn for a second here, Nicole and I discussed this before, not just before, but we discussed this weeks before that was going to be the title of this thing. So, and the reason for that is to grab attention, because I once told her in an interview with a whole bunch of other people listening that cerebral palsy is not sexy, and that's why it doesn't get the national attention that it should. Even though we have our own national day, we have a month, we have all types of stuff. Now, the reason, so it was basically to draw attention. So please don't get your knickers in a twist if you hear us use the word PORN, please. So, but our point behind that is many people say that, oh gosh, you guys are inspiration everywhere, and that's why they say inspiration porn, because
they overuse it, and they could like, if I walk to the bathroom, I'm an inspiration when.
Well, look at it this way. If you break down those two words, right? One is negative. The second one is negative. So by taking the positive one and adding a negative one to it, it now becomes a negative term. Right. So they've now flipped the term on its head to make it seem like it's a bad thing. It is not a bad thing to be an inspiration to someone. Right. It is not a bad thing for someone to say to you, hey, you're an inspiration to me today. What I think drives most people crazy, and why the term of that was created, is that, and what bothers most people in wheelchairs or crutches, is that the guy across from the table might come over to you and say, congratulations for being outside today.
Right.
So good of you to come out and join the world.
That's ridiculous.
So they automatically assume that because we're in the situation that we're in, that we don't have normal and regular lives like them. So they're congratulating us on putting on our own clothes and our socks and brushing our teeth and actually showing up to the restaurant to eat food. Like, dude, I'm just trying to be a normal person like you and enjoy my meal.
Trying to eat.
Yes. Like, don't tell me that. I mean, it's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But let's use this moment to teach people. Like, there's a certain time and place for you to tell that person individually that they're an inspiration to you. There's a certain way that you, instead of saying, hey, what's wrong with you? There's a certain way to go about, to walk up to Nicole and say, Nicole, I've known you for a long time. I really want to ask you a personal question. We've never really discussed it, but what is it that causes you to walk? And I'm going to use the term funny. What is it that causes you to walk so funny? Why do you walk like that? I've always wanted to know, but never had the comfort level or felt comfortable enough to ask you, instead of going, hey, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Why do you walk like that?
Why do you walk like that? But my point, Matt, is we as a community of people with cerebral palsy who are trying to move the needle, we can use inspiration porn by getting, if people think we're an inspiration, fine, I'll give you an inspirational story. You can cover me on the news.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to tip it on its head where, because you have an inspirational story, I know you've been in the news, I have an inspirational story, everybody who's watching has an inspirational story, and there's probably something in there that could be turned into something where it would get coverage. And by and large, if you did get a story written about you, it probably would be one where people would say, that guy's an inspiration, or that woman's an inspiration. And we happen to have CP, right?
Right. Can we talk about that? You asked me earlier how that's changed, how my perception of Facebook has changed. My perception of articles on me has also changed as well. And this is what I mean. Instead of trying to center focus the article on me, if you look at the interview from Action News with Jamie Apodi, did you ever see that one about Joe Flacco? And
I think so. I mean, because it might have been a while, but I think so.
I asked her in the interview, before she interviewed me, I said, make sure that this is focused on my family and friends, because that's where who this should really be about. Now, she had free reign to pick whatever picture she wanted that was on social media. And she took that and had it composed together. Whoever edited it, they put in pictures of my family, pictures of my friends. They focused on all of that. Even though you heard me talking the whole time, they focused on, and I was so proud of that. I messaged her and wrote her a letter and said, you did such a wonderful job. You heard me. You heard what I was saying.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where my articles now, if any in the future, I want them to be focused on the people. I am not the focal point. I want them to be focused on the people around me. Right. And then you can add me in and say, I have cerebral palsy and I do this and do that. But focus on Jimmy, focus on John, focus on everybody.
But what I'm saying is you're getting CP in the door. By getting your story covered, that's a way to raise awareness.
Correct.
And instead of people thinking, oh, you know, that's just going to be another inspiration porn type of piece, because then people are going to say, Matt's such an inspirational guy because he has CP and he ran marathons and he's doing this. Well, why can't we have both? Why can't we use that to our advantage? Because the press, they're not covering us.
Right.
So why don't we give them part of what they're looking for? You're
right. You're right. At the end of the Jamie Apodi interview, at the end of the video clip, I said, I don't remember what the question was, but the final thing I said was, cerebral palsy is the celebrity here. Matt Rich is just the guy that God chose to bring into the stage.
There you go.
He could have chosen you. He could have chosen whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Trevor, you know, who's becoming a preacher. You got Ben Jackson, who, you know, who's an athlete in his own right. Mm-hmm. Devon Barry. You've got Kevin Cherry. There's so many other guys and girls. You've got yourself. You've got Rochelle. You've got Heaven. You've got
my friend Ashley, who's watching. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many there, and it's like, I'm just the person that brought it to the forefront. The cause is the most important thing.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to impress upon people is that they can do that too if they want to.
Right.
Like sometimes people think, oh, you know, I'm not like Matt. I didn't run a 5K, and I'm not a motivational speaker, and it doesn't have to be that. People have unique stories because every one of us is unique.
So for argument's sake, let's just say this for a minute, okay? I send you a really nasty message, and I tell you that you only achieve this because you're pretty. You only achieve this because of this. Now, me being a person with CP, what did I just do? I diminished the cause as a whole, and I just knocked down on 2 pegs the person who is actually doing something about the cause and trying to promote it. What my point is, I know on Facebook there is not internal fighting between people,
Yes,
but there's people who don't like the fact that there are certain ones that are in the spotlight, if you will, and they think, oh my gosh, they take up too much time. And what they don't realize is that, and it's not that we're the chosen ones. It's nothing like that. We're the ones that are bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah,
you could be doing it too.
They could do whatever they want.
They could. They could, instead of bashing me or you or whoever, instead of denouncing the cause and
insulting
right
somebody and being and what did the word you used, where basically devalued the accomplishments that the person has made.
Yes.
Right.
It's like, why? If we're trying to help the cause as a whole, which is...
Heaven says she gets that every day, and she's a teenager.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
She's a kid. She's a kid. I mean, you and I are grown adults. Rochelle's a grown adult. I mean, and as adults, we may be able to handle it better because we're mentally set up a little different because we've been through other things. But when you decide to pick on a child, and not that Heaven's a child, but when you decide to pick on somebody who's a teenager, who's a kid, who's not mentally ready to handle some of that stuff, to handle the guy at the restaurant who's gonna, you might be helping them with something and they might snicker at you because you're taking too long, or you're holding the door for somebody, and because they don't see your chair and they can't walk around your chair, they get mad at you because your chair is in the way. And they don't look at the fact that you just held the door for them.
Right.
So you're picking on a teenager, you're picking on a kid, and you totally forget that people have become rude by nature.
Oh, yeah.
Rudeness is the new rudeness is kindness. It's rudeness. People decide to be rude first and ignorant first instead of being kind and gentle.
It's an epidemic if you think about it. It really is.
Yeah.
Really, and Rochelle just brought up a good point. She said that opportunity is everywhere. Just look around and seek it out.
Right.
That's how I feel. I mean, I have been unfriended by people. Like sometimes hasn't happened lately, but people will message me and they'll ask me for information on something. And if I don't know the information that they're asking me about, I tell them to Google it.
Right.
Because sometimes people seem to think that I am personal Google.
Right. Yeah, no, I got you.
If I don't know the answer to your question, I'm not going to make something up.
And guess what? If you worked in customer service, your boss would applaud you for that, because what you just did was you didn't know the information. You told the person you didn't have the information.
Right.
You told them where to go get it.
Yeah. Right.
So you did the right, proper business-like thing. Sometimes I have the mindset of I would really appreciate it if people approach life in a more business-like manner. Right. Because if they did, they would treat people better.
Right.
But I also have to understand that not everybody thinks like I do.
Exactly.
They don't. Not everybody thinks in that, I've been told by my friends and my family that, Matt, you're a little too over top with the business-like stuff. Like, you need to scale it back and enjoy life a little more. And I'm trying to do that. I've been praying about that, and I believe that God is working with me on that.
And one of the things I'm challenged with is when you have a page, and I also have a website, and I'm an advocate. People they just want me to share their stuff.
Right.
And
hold on. I
ahead.
just got to move my phone, so keep talking.
So the other night, like around 10:30 at night, like I get this like anonymous thing of like a GoFundMe site, and I that's not what my page is about. If I don't know you, I'm not just gonna share like GoFundMe page for somebody that I don't know. I started my page to connect people and to show the world what CP looks like, and that's why I keep asking you guys, hey, can you post your pictures on my page? Please, guys, go to the page, go to the left-hand side, click on post a picture of yourself or your child. You can share a little bit of your story, of course, but
Yeah.
I always ask them, Matt, not to make it a promotional post.
I have a question for you. Okay.
Yes.
I'm just going to let you know that I got a notification on my phone that my phone is now at 20%.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just so you know. So, if I cut out on you at some point, you know what happened.
Oh, no,
But
that's okay. I'll wrap it up for you.
My question for you is, what made you come up with the name What CP Looks Like, and why?
Well, Trevor Lane, who is the admin on this page, he would share videos. He likes to work out, and he made this video. I don't know. I think he was doing push-ups or something. Yeah, me too. I wish you could, because I really do, but it's hard with
I can see it though. You've been working on it.
It's hard to see. And so I decided to make this planking video, just as like a joke, like to go back at him, like, here, Trevor, like I can hold the plank, and I don't know. I made that video, and then it just popped into my head. I don't know. It was just one of those spur of the moment things where I thought to myself, most people would not think when they see Trevor that he could do what he's doing.
Right.
Bench pressing, all this weight, he does a lot of physical stuff. And people might think that I can't hold a plank, or they might not think you can run these 5Ks and do everything that you're doing, especially because you're in a chair, and that's a whole other topic in and of itself,
Right.
So it just literally popped into my head, and I took the idea and I ran with it.
Well, you know what I noticed about the page, because you used the title "What CP Looks Like." You're showing the world what people who have cerebral palsy, the medical term cerebral palsy, can do. But the thing about that is, it's become so much bigger. It's not just focused on CP, even though that's in the title. Okay, what CP looks like. You've actually shown the human side of what people who have the condition can actually do. You've shown dancing videos, you've shown pageant videos, you've shown people who are motivational speakers, you've shown people who work out for a living. So you've shown the actual daily life of a human being and the human side of cerebral palsy, instead of having people focus on cerebral palsy. They focus on the human. So it's like, wow, that guy really can do that. He really does have an awesome human spirit. My brother just said sing it. I guess he means like sing, like, and he's saying, way to go, Nicole.
Oh, well, thank you, Andrew. Wait, since you said sing it and your brother's phone is about to die, your brother has a country album, and he said that he would sing if I asked. So, you got to sing something for us before your phone dies. Alrighty.
One second.
Okay, he's got to prepare. He's got to get the vocal cords ready. Are you Irish?
I am part Irish.
Okay, because he told me what he might sing, so this is kind of fitting for him and what's coming up on the 17th, which we don't need to remind people what it is, but...
When Irish eyes are smiling, all the world is bright and gay. For when Irish eyes are smiling, they'll melt your cares away. I don't think that's the right words, but you get the point.
Well, I wish I could clap like this, because I can't put the hearts across, but give them hearts, guys. I mean, I've never had anybody come on this page and sing, let alone someone who has a country album. So that is
do you want me to do a country song too? I'll do that too.
Guys, do you want him to do a country song? I want him to do a country song. Do you know any Keith Urban?
No, Keith Urban. Actually, no. I listen to a lot of older stuff, so I'll do some.
Heaven wants you to sing something.
I'll do some George Strait. Amarillo by morning, up from San Antonio. Everything that I got is just what I've got on. When that sun is high in that Texas sky, gonna move there someday. I'll be bucking at the county fair. Amarillo by morning. Amarillo, I'll be there.
Thank you. And I also want to thank you for recognizing what I try to do on the page. I mean, you've never told me that. And, you know, so to hear you.
It just came to me now. And I really feel like
that was just so nice of you to say.
I don't really think about stuff anymore. Honestly, I kind of just let it flow. And I really feel like some of those messages are truly from God. And I really feel like he was trying to tell you that you focused on the human side of it and not necessarily the medical and the CP. That you've really taken it to another level.
And that's why, like, you know, I like introducing my audience to people who I know, because you're a great guy. You're doing great things. And there's so many of us who fall into that category, and nobody would ever hear about us or hear our story. And you know, one day I was telling Rochelle, when I was thinking about doing these Facebook Lives, when I realized that the feature came out where we can do this and have, you know, somebody else on the screen, I was like, well, that's perfect, because, you know, I was thinking about doing a podcast, but that just never came to fruition. And this is just more my style. And maybe other people are doing it. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of it. You know, I don't know what's going on in the CP community all the time. Right. But, you know, I just kind of wanted to try something different and see how people would respond to it.
And you've done great. And I'll say one more thing about how I've changed as a person. Usually, and I've really been trying to work on it more, when you're talking to me as we're talking now in this format, I would have thoughts going through my head. And I've had some tonight because it's, you know, I have to answer your question, so I have to be on that. But if we're talking in general, I would be thinking about what it is I'm going to do next or what. So I wasn't really focused on you and the conversation. And sometimes, I mean, I've really tried to do a good job tonight not to talk the whole time, to let you talk.
You're doing
because
good.
What I would do is I would go, you'd start talking, and I go, wait, Nicole, I have a point. I do that to people all the time.
Well, to be fair, I told Matt, I said, listen, if you need to talk about something or, you know, I'm flexible, just do whatever. And so.
But I've really enjoyed this. I've had a lot of fun.
Me too.
The last thing I'd like to say is that I just want to mention my mom, my dad, my brothers who I know are watching.
Thank
my
you
brother
for watching, everybody.
Chiming in, and he wants me to sing some Hank. Well, I don't know if it's Hank Jr. or Hank Sr., but if he lets me know, I'll do something for him. Drew, I know you're still watching.
Let me just check real quick before we say goodbye. If there's any, I don't think there's any other questions, but go ahead, finish your thought. I didn't mean to. Now I'm doing what I'm not supposed to do. I interrupt you.
That's all right. That's all right. I just want to talk about them for a minute and how much they support me and what I've always done. And, you know, any radio interview, any video interview, whatever, they buy extra copies. They listen in. They love me for who I am. As my nieces would say, they don't look at Uncle Matt because he's got CP or because he's in a chair. They see Uncle Matt for Uncle Matt. They love Uncle Matt for Uncle Matt. Now, has that developed? My niece Quinn, who just turned 3, by the way, on March 12th.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Quinn. She's always, back when I was a little heavier and you know, fluid and everything, and I had trouble stepping up into the car, she would say, Uncle Matt, are you okay, Uncle Matt? Like, she became my biggest cheerleader, because when I would actually achieve a goal or get up out of it, she'd be like, yay, you did it. Like,
isn't that great?
Joyful. And like, she would come over and I'll help you, Uncle Matt. Wait, your crunches are too heavy.
That's the beauty of children. That's the beauty of.
Yeah. She actually would go, wait, Uncle Matt, there's 2 and they're too heavy. How do I bring? I'd go, bring over one at a time. And she went, okay. And now she brings over one at a time, and she helped, and I'll get them for you. And you know, I used to be, no, I'll get it. And now
you let people help you now.
Right. You got to let people help you. It's not about being stubborn and just showing that, oh, I can do it.
You can do it, right.
People already know that you can do it. If they want to help, let them help. If they don't want to help, do it yourself.
Matt, what would you say to people who are listening to us right now and they say, you know what, I don't have a big support system?
That is a good question. I would say, and I know I keep bringing it up, but it's what I believe, and I believe that it really works. If you don't have a big support system, pray to God and ask Him for one, because He'll bring it to you.
But let's say people, they're
Don't
not
do that.
right
Don't do that.
faith based, or people
That they don't.
who might
That they.
get with the mindset of, well, it's easy for you to say because you have all these people supporting you and I don't have that. What would you say to people who might want to, they want things to change, but they don't have it?
I would ask them, what is their mindset? Is it negative or positive? Because if it's negative, they're pushing those people away who are actually trying to help them and let them in. And they're actually people need people to be active. You need people in order to live a life, okay? So
Yeah.
by pushing people away and being negative, you're not going to have that. So maybe there's something that you do as a person that rubs people the wrong way, and they just stay away from you because, like we said, what did you say earlier? It might not be good for me, it might not be healthy for you, and it might not be good for the cause. So
Right.
if you're pushing someone away and they see that that's unhealthy for them, it's not necessarily that they're pulling away from you because they don't like you. They're pulling away from you because you're giving them such negative energy that they don't want it in their life.
Right. That they don't want.
So
Right.
they get away. So if you want people around and you want to develop a support system, let's say that every single family member, just for argument's sake, your mom's gone, your dad's gone, your brothers are gone. You have nobody left. You have at least, and that's a big shock, but at least in due time, you'll have friends who will become family, and somebody will help you with things. There's other people. You may never get your mom back. You'll never get your dad back, but you'll have people who will step into your life and either portray those roles for you and take care of you and help you in those. But you have to, it's about number one thing that we talked about earlier. It's about mindset.
Mindset.
It's about mindset.
And that's how we can use Facebook, because you are my friend. I would not know you if it were not for Rochelle and for Facebook. Rochelle is one of my best friends, and she knows, like, I'm by myself all the time. It's very hard for me. Most people have no idea. But without you guys,
I need to
think I would
speak
last.
about Rochelle for a second, because I would not know her. I would not know the people that I know if it wasn't for her. I would not know her, though, and she's going to laugh about this. If she sent me a message one night, an email,
She told me.
and I thought that she was like, I was like, this lady's crazy.
Oh, no.
And then, but she's not. I mean,
No.
her and I talked on the phone, and it was like, oh my gosh, had a 2-hour conversation with this girl. Wow, she seems really nice. I mean, granted, she called me from Georgia in New Jersey. I said, hey, I saw that you're a singer. I really want to talk to you. I've got this group. And the next thing I know, I'm talking to her for 2 hours. And I didn't know who she was.
Right.
And I actually had to
friends to this day.
Yeah. She's one of my best friends. And I sent the email to a guy who advises me and said, is this real? What do you He's like, yeah, it's real, because at the time I was getting emails from people asking me for requests for stuff, and some of it was fake.
Oh.
So I always go to people who've been doing business stuff for a long time and say, is this real? Is this fake? What do you think about this? If you want to learn something from someone, let's just say, you should ask them, especially if they've been in a job longer than you have.
Right. Like a mentor, yeah.
Yeah. How would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach this situation? If you call somebody who says, I need your advice, this is what I'm going through, how would you handle that? Or how can I help you and you help me make this situation better? How can we help each other? It's literally, and if you've listened to me talk and I've listened to you talk, my words and your words have not really been truly negative tonight. Everything that we've talked about in a certain way, how may I help you? How, is a positive affirmational thought that when you put it out there.
And what you just said, I was just thinking earlier, you didn't know this because I didn't tell you, but we can learn something from everybody who we come in contact with. And
Yes.
you're saying if you know somebody who's done something that you want to do, and go to them and ask them. And that's what I love about being able to interview you, is because I can learn something from you. Even though I know you, I'm still learning how you transformed from a negative mindset into a lot more positive mindset. And now it's even affecting you physically because you've been able to lose, what did you lose, 18 pounds?
I lost 12 pounds. I lost
12,
12
I
pounds.
meant 12 pounds, and you're eating better, and I think you're sleeping better too. And
Yes.
so it's just really seeped into so many areas of your life.
I'm at 10%, so you know.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna.
But you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Everybody has something to teach somebody. I recently had a conversation with two guys who I considered really good friends, and one guy was talking about how he's in this situation, and so are some other people. But I said, yeah, but look at it from this side. You're in a situation, and that might suck. Honestly, sometimes you could really, if something really does suck, you have every right to say, that sucks, okay?
Yep.
That just sucks. But if you look, you might be from different backgrounds, but in one singular moment, you're all in the same situation, and there's something that can be taught, that you can grab onto somebody. That's why the smartest kid in the classroom, which I don't know if they do it anymore, but I remember we did it in college. If there was somebody who was finished their work first, the professor would send that person around as the student assistant, and they would actually assist the other students with their math work.
Okay.
So it was like, what happened to assisting people with what they need and giving people information in a way to help, instead of explaining to somebody that you're wrong and you're doing it the wrong way? Let me see if I can help you. Well, try it this way. Instead of stacking them 4 by 4, why don't you stack them 2 by 2? It may make the appearance a little bit better, and it may look a little bit neater. And then they might do it. They might be like, you know what? You're right. And instead of taking credit for it, instead of going, yeah, I was right, you could just say, I'm just happy to help. All I did was help. I helped you figure out the situation and made it a little bit easier for you. That's all.
Right. And how about doing something for somebody just because it's a nice thing to do?
Absolutely. Buy somebody ice cream on a hot summer day. And
people are so used to these days, Matt, that, well, I'm going to do something for you. What am I going to get out of it?
Why? Why get something out of it? Just because, all right, you had me do this video interview for you, right? Or you asked me to do this for you. Now, am I going to turn around and say, well, you got to do something? No. No. We did this together to further the cause, and that was it. There's no
it's an encore, because I forgot to mention, and this is where we'll end it. Matt and I did a couple of radio interviews a year ago, and people just loved. Well, it was radio, so they couldn't see us, and that's why I think this is even better. People loved our chemistry and what we brought to the table and what we talked about. So I thought, hey, we got to bring him back as an encore, because now, I'm doing this on my own, and I could have anybody I want on, and I couldn't think of a better person to come on and, inject some positivity, because the world needs a lot of that these days.
Well, if you remember correctly, after we did the interview together, you asked me if I would join you as a host.
Yeah, I did.
And we talked about it back and forth, and I was honest with you, and I said, Nicole, I really don't think I have the time for that right now. And so by doing that, I helped you figure out that you could do this. I mean, not that you figured out on your own, you could do it on your own. That trying to schedule what we both wanted to talk about would be a little nuts for both of us. So
because we don't even live. We're not even in the same vicinity or anything. And then in my research, Matt, I realized that my heart really wasn't in that format, because I would have had to teach myself basically the entire. I tried to, I got a microphone and was teaching myself some of it, but like I'm the type of person, I think similar to you, that when I decide to do something, I do it.
Right.
And the fact that I was stalling and I wasn't doing it, I was like, I don't think my heart's in it.
Now, let me ask you let me make one statement, and let me ask you one last question, right? I would love to have a part 3 of this. This is fantastic. This would be what, part 4? But anyway, we should have an additional part to whatever.
Absolutely. If you're game, we can have as many parts as we want.
And
Put the hearts across the screen, guys, if you want Matt to come back on the show. I want to see you guys show him some love. Go ahead, Matt.
I think I forgot what my question was, but I'm sorry. It was a good one.
I know.
You were talking about, you realized that
that my heart wasn't in doing the podcast.
Right. I said,
you knew you wouldn't have the time, and then we didn't live in a similar, the same place, and then I realized that, I was trying to teach myself the ins and outs of how to start a podcast. I bought a microphone. I thought, I don't know, this is a lot.
You asked for hearts, and you're getting a whole bunch.
Well, good. You should have them.
I thank you. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But it was a good one, and hopefully I'll think of it, and I can ask you at another time.
I'm sure you will, and definitely. And I would love to have you back, because I know there's so much that we could talk about, and that's why I try to cover 3 or 4 different topics, or as many as we can in an hour, because we want to make it interesting for people and add variety,
right,
as we can. And we did that. And I want to wish you a happy Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month. And
happy Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month to you too.
Yeah, keep in touch and let me know, possible topics. And hey, guys, you can put in the comments if there was something that Matt talked about and that you want him to talk about more. I can bring him on and we could set something up. So just let us know in the comments below. All right, Matt.
Thanks again.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for coming on.
Oh, this was a blast. I can't wait to do it again.
Me too. Thanks, everybody.
You're a great host.
Thank you. And you're a great guest.
Thank you very much.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
night. Bye, guys.
You too. Bye, guys.